The recently announced water restrictions are not good news for Johannesburg's gardens. Well-known horticulturist Kirsten and some of his colleagues shared some drought survival gardening tips with Joburg Today.
You can plant more indigenous plants or water-wise plants, anything from a succulent to even a plant that comes from the Mediterranean regions or California, Australia that are already water-wise in themselves. They're able to take heat and drought conditions, and as long as they're not invasive plants. Then the ground, before you even plant them, you need to make sure that you've worked compost and mulch into your grounds and improve the condition of your soil. The other thing is to use the mulch on the surface of the ground and then deep watering less frequently. Most people overwater their gardens, and that's a fact.
Determining how much water an average Johannesburg garden uses is difficult.
Figures of around 35% have been quoted, and that is 35% of total household water use being used in the garden. From our calculator that we've developed, it's still a new tool, but we found figures ranging from 12% to as low as 2.75%.
One of the fastest, affordable and effective means to immediately start conserving water is to cover up exposed soil surfaces using mulch. This helps preventing evaporation and keeps plant roots cool.
So the easiest way to do it is actually to go and look in your garden and see what you currently have. So the fallen leaves, rather use those leaves, spread it in amongst all your flowers, your grass cuttings. You also want to actually put those into your flower beds. If you don't have a lot of trees and that type of thing in your garden which are providing leaves, then you're going to have to go and buy mulch from a garden centre, and then you would use things such as bark chips, macadamia nutshells, and then you've got also things like pebbles or stones, and then of course, you have to have plants. So you get living mulch, such as ground covers.
One can also reduce lawns.
So you can put over areas of your lawn to more of a wild meadow type garden. You can have not lawn on your pavements. Plant trees, because trees give you shade and conserve water in that they allow less evaporation of the water from the ground. And then in the choice of plants, and if your cameraman can follow me a little bit, we're going to come up here. And we're going to show you, this is a buddleia. It attracts butterflies, it attracts the birds, it's a beautiful thing. This is a euphorbia, known commonly as fire sticks. And that is actually a succulent type plant that's got water contained in the stems. And plant more indigenous plants. This is the dagga plant, known as a common wild dagga, and it's Leonotis leonoris. You actually can use it herbally, but it's certainly not going to put you on a trip. And that has orange flowers, you get a white variety. Gara is a common plant. It's known as a prairie plant. And thuricum, this is a wild hen in chickens. It gets these lovely little white flowers, and it grows like a weed, but it'll cover an entire. I've got a wonderful patch of gravel, and this is a wild hen and chickens that I've got growing in a gravel area in my kitchen courtyard. This is a little silver ray, and then people say, "Oh, I hate succulents." Well, what you plant in your garden is your choice. And of course, here's a nice aloe. And an aloe is a sculptural plant, and there are people that don't like aloes. Well, get with the program and go more indigenous. But they are the plants that are going to survive the real dry conditions and the drought. I've planted in a wild meadow garden, in my garden, lots of wild grasses to attract the birds and the butterflies and the insects and things, and it's fantastic. And they're the good insects, not the harmful ones. And I've also planted yarrow, achillea, which is a wonderful perennial. It takes any amount of cold and it takes any amount of heat. And that's a little convolvulus. Very hardy Mediterranean plant, likes the dry conditions, doesn't like wet feet.
So Johannesburgers, there seems to be no excuse for having barren sandpits as gardens. Marize de Klerk, Joburg Today.